Morning. Happy Wednesday to everybody. So I hope you enjoyed the interview yesterday. Today I'm posting an article about the 3 billion plus cell phones that people carry in their pocket around the world and how that data could be used to help track coronavirus. It's from the Washington Post. And within it, what this article talks about is privacy concerns around the globe, how some countries are using cell phone data to track the virus, and how some countries aren't because they do have privacy legislation in place. And so I think that what I really want to highlight from this are a couple of things, right? Is that we have different privacy legislation around the world. And in subsequent videos and mornings, what I'll do is start to tackle all of the different legislation for all the different countries around the world and how they're using that right now to actually track coronavirus. And also, the privacy concerns that we have here in the US, which are that because we don't have a federal law, any federal legislation around basic privacy, digital privacy and data privacy specifically, that we kind of have right now a mismatch of different states doing different things. And we'll cover that as well, because it's important to realize that CCPA is just the beginning, that there are multiple other states that have legislation coming up. Including New York, of which I've, had the pleasure of being able to testify for this legislation. And, it merits looking to see how that might impact somebody. And then also it merits calling out the differences between some other countries that have goalposts and guideposts. I think one of the big concerns right now is not, are we using data to track the spread of coronavirus, because there are obvious benefits to that. And we've covered companies who are doing it well, and we've covered companies who aren't doing it so well, who aren't really protecting privacy. But at the end of all of this, at the end of what will hopefully be a shorter rather than longer, sequestering time period, is that we won't have the right goalpost and guidepost to go back to, because we didn't have federal legislation and we didn't have anything set in place. We didn't have any expectations set in place initially. So the more government and businesses tread on data privacy and use data that potentially shouldn't be, that should be something that we have a right and we have a choice to say we don't want to have used, that the more we push that, the more desensitized we become to that kind of data use. And then also at the end of this time period, whenever we start to resume what would hopefully look like a relatively normal life again, and when the economy picks back up, we go back to a new frame of business, right? That we won't have set the proper guideposts initially that we can go back to and say, oh, well, it used to be like this, so let's go back to that at least before we make further advancements in protecting people's their choice to say what data should be private to them. And so since we don't have that, I think that there runs the risk of us not knowing what to go back to, not knowing what normal looked like for the US. So I hope that whenever you read this article that you think about this, and I encourage you to, as always, make comments. Tell me what you think. Do you think that we should have more choice in our data privacy? Do you think that that's something that should be important to us, that companies should be considering as we move forward and we look at not only privacy compliance, but further into data ethics? What is actual ethical use of your data? And how might that look like for your company? Because I think it's going to look different for every company out there. We're all going to have the choice to decide what's right for your company, what do your clients and your customers want. And you should have that choice beyond just pure privacy legislation. But what we'll tackle starting tomorrow is we'll start to look at privacy legislation around the world, not just here. So thanks for joining me again this morning, and I look forward to comments and questions and hearing back from you on this. Thanks.